What's something in your room right now that most people probably don't have in theirs? An uncut currency sheet. It is $51 bills that were never cut when they came out of the US Mint. Edit. If you have an uncut currency sheet, you can cut it up and use it, so it's not just a cool thing you can put in a frame. I have two $1 bills whose serial number is directly after each other, but yours sounds way cooler. How much is that worth? $50 if you're good with the scissors. I have an uncut sheet of $2 bills. This would actually make a really cool gift. The novelty factor would impress most, well, at least me. I'm easily entertained. A ship compass. Now you know which way your house is going. 8 different copies of The Secret Garden by Frances Burnett. Edit. To answer some questions, it is not my favorite book. I first received and read a copy of it when I was 9, so it is a very sentimental book for me. I have so many copies because I enjoy collecting the more beautiful art styles that it gets published in. As a classic, it gets republished very frequently, so to prevent me from just buying way too many copies, I reread the book every time I buy a new one. I'm insanely jealous of you right now. The Secret Garden was mine and my mom's favorite movie. She passed away almost 3 years ago. I got a Secret Garden key tattoo for her on the 1-year anniversary, and for my birthday earlier this month, my friend bought me the 1949 version of the movie on DVD. Although I have tried to watch it every day this week, I still haven't even managed to take it out of the plastic. A balloon that was inflated a couple days before I was born. 17 years later, and it has barely lost any air. Edit. Here's a picture. Edit 2. Just realized the other side is considerably cleaner. But, what happens when it does deflate? I mean, will you deflate too? How? I have no clue. There's also a balloon from my brother's college graduation that hasn't lost a visible amount of air in 3 years. Guess I'm just the god of balloons. Those types of balloons stay inflated for decades. I had a dinosaur one for going on 25 years until my nasty little cousin burst it with a pin, was very close to pushing that pin into her eye. I have a plant that was given to my mom when she was in the hospital giving birth to me 44 years ago. I had a balloon on the top of one of my bookshelves for over 10 years and it never deflated. When I was packing to move, I reached up for it to throw it away and at first touch the thing deflated as if I'd poke a hole in it. Just wilted into a sad lump. I presume it was to do with the surface tension of the balloon, but I was a history major, so what do I know? Freakiest science experiment ever. I used to have a glass of preserved cherries from the year of my birth, 1974, in my basement, until my mother threw it in the trash in a fit of house cleaning fever a couple of weeks ago. I'm still pissed. A goat skull. Someone else said they have a raven skull. You can start a cult together. I've got my skull collection. I have 2 deer, 1 male, 1 female, a boar, a coyote, 3 opossums, 1 raccoon, a cow, a goat, a rabbit, 1 half cat, and an armadillo. All found outside. Started keeping them 9 years ago. I have a box of human bones in my office and a skull and food on my shelf. What I find odd is that people don't mind the skull, but the food freaks them out. It's kind of a funny story. I was walking in the woods with my dog when I spotted a deer carcass. I really wanted to get the skull, but there was a lot of flesh still on it, and I wasn't sure how to deal with it. Later that day, I was talking about it with my mother, and she said, "Funny, I saw one of those on the street near a dumpster during my walk the other day." The next day, I went and collected it on my way to work. So picture a girl with a full face of makeup and heels, rummaging through someone else's trash. Not in the trash can, though. There's often stuff on the street, old furniture and other large items, and the skull was there to retrieve a deer head. It was fairly clean. I just washed it with water and mild soap to get the dust out. Somebody went through a home redecoration and threw it away, I guess. I have a large storage container filled to the top with McDonald's toys. Before my grandfather passed away, he would go and get a coffee every morning and would get me a toy from there when he got a coffee. I've kept them ever since. I can't bring myself to part with them. I have full collection of the Monsters Inc. toys, the Lilo and Stitch toys, Winnie the Pooh, Beanie Babies, etc. 90s and early 2000s toys. That man was a saint and my hero. Edit 1. I said can't bring myself to part with them. Sorry about that. Edit 2. Thank you for the awards and the wholesome comments. Edit 3. Picture links. Pictures for everyone who's asked. That's really sweet. He seems like a thoughtful, caring man. Also, there's a big following for those toys on Instagram. You should post some. I'd love to see your collection. I used to have this in storage as a kid, but it wasn't sweet like your story. It was because I was fat and would only eat Happy Meals. One of my favorite memories in the Christian morning, my mom gave me every Wizard of Oz McDonald's toy. They were the ones that had eyes that could close when you laid them down. When our house got foreclosed in 2008, the bank had people come in and just throw everything away. They threw those out and I've never been able to find them again. My mom told me she spent an entire night driving around to every McDonald's in the area trying to find all the toys. I have an old chocolate tin full of Kinder Eggs toys that my granddad saved from whenever he or my grandma would buy me a Kinder Egg when I was at theirs growing up. He gave me the tub recently and I can't bring myself to get rid either or let my stepson play with them. My dad did something similar. Every time I saw him, he'd get a Happy Meal and I couldn't open the toy, but instead had to put it in the giant bin. Same with Barbie dolls at Christmas. And I wasn't allowed to play with my Beanie Babies. They'll be worth a lot of money one day. Okay, Dad. A magnet that has a cow with the words, "Moo, bitch." Bitch, I'm a cow. Got milk, bitch. A collection of human teeth stuck on a candle. Mind explaining why you have such a relic? I have 5 siblings and I found their baby teeth collections and stuck them on a candle. They got older and had their molars removed. I had a big brain moment and hammered them onto the candle. I'm the youngest, so when I have mine removed, I'll add them to the candle. Tooth Fairy, is that you? A Christmas tree. Growing up, my family did that. We left it up for 12 years. As kids, we got really sad when the Christmas tree had to come down, so our parents figured, why not just leave it up? It made an excellent conversation piece, but it was also really fun finding different decorations to peel on it for the different holidays. My favorite were the giant pair of sunglasses we put on it during the summer. I live in a small apartment with hardly any storage space. I was actually gonna toss yesterday, but realized Christmas tree decorating is 7 months away. Maybe I can just be more patient. With over 18K comments, I doubt anyone will read mine, but here it is anyways. I have a canning jar sealed with an orange sweet pepper on the shelf. Every year my dad would try to grow sweet peppers for me in his garden, but always struggled to get very much off of them. His last summer with us, we had a late changing into fall, so there was a decent-sized orange pepper ready to be picked at the beginning of October. He told me I need to pick it so we could white put the garden for the winter. I forgot, so the day before he had his stroke, he rode out on his lawn mower and picked it for me and gave it to me. The next day he had a stroke and died in a hospital 3 days later. The pepper sat on my counter until it started to get a small brown spot. I couldn't bear to eat it. So I got my mom to set up her canning stuff and can a single jar for me with a pepper in it to preserve it. It's the last thing my dad did for me and the last thing he gave me.